Hey Ben, how you doing?
Hey Perry, how are you? Long time no see.
Long time no see. So I hope all is well with your family in these troubling times.
hmm Yeah, we're doing well. We're stocked up. Uh, yeah, we're fine.
That's good. That's good to
How's
hear.
your family?
Oh, we're doing well. We're not like it's not like hurricane situation where we're just like
hmm
packing up and keeping in, but we're doing well, going outside for walks and stuff like that, going bike riding,
Yeah, I've been
trying to
doing
keep
walks
busy.
around my neighborhood every day, and that's the only time I leave the house.
I mean you kind of have to do those things, right? Just to keep your
hmm
mind sound in these like it's such a weird time right now, right?
Yeah, it really unprecedented.
Yeah, I well, we probably will never see something like this again. So let's make the most of
Hopefully,
it.
hopefully.
Hopefully that's true. Yeah. So just let's get started real quick. So just describe for a couple minutes how the quarantine has been for you in terms of your classes and just getting work done, getting
hmm
things done, your hobbies and whatnot.
And by the way, real quick, I've as a film major, like I've done a lot of these interviews. So if you need to like tell me, hey, repeat that, don't ramble, do this, like feel free. Don't worry about like being polite or not offending me. Like I've done so many of these where I've come up with like completely worthless footage because the interviewee wouldn't shut up. So if you just
Oh,
need to like tell me to do something, feel free.
okay.
Uh, Also, I completely forgot what the question was. So can you repeat that?
Okay, so just describe for a couple minutes how the quarantine has been for you in terms of getting your classes done and your classwork and stuff like that.
Yeah, so the quarantine has been a little rough. I don't love online classes, but I've been adapting, figuring out what all my classes are going to do, canceling all of my projects and productions, and moving forward as best I can, trying to keep in pace with my studies and my hobbies, doing a lot of Netflix binging and video game playing, and a ton of cooking.
Of course, emphasis on the on the Netflix and stuff like that.
hmm
Yeah, that's I've been doing a lot of the same. So let's get to food because that's why we're doing this interview.
hmm
What have you made recently?
So recently during the quarantine, I've been trying to use a lot of shelf stable ingredients and use what I have. I've been using a lot of frozen seafood because that's a protein that can stay in the freezer for a while without any degradation in quality. So I've made Spanish paella. I've made marinated salmon with some pantry staples like a farro salad. I've made kebabs, stuffed French toast, a lot of homemade bread and stuff like that. A lot of homemade baked goods, and a lot of eggs because eggs are a staple pantry ingredient that is very useful.
So are you primarily making foods with ingredients that are able to be maintained for a long time in like the refrigerator or the freezer? Is that your idea?
That's what the goal is. I'm trying to. That's what I have. Those types of ingredients are what I have the most of. The things that can stay around a while in the freezer and refrigerator. I do occasionally go out and get some fresh protein that I try to cook immediately so it doesn't go bad. But a lot of frozen stuff and pantry stable stuff is what I'm focusing on because that's just what I have available to me.
Okay. So would you say that, and you kind of already answered this question, but if you don't mind elaborating, would you
Mhm.
say that cooking and baking has been an important hobby for you, like for your mental well-being at this particular strange time?
Yeah, so cooking is something I've always done. I've always enjoyed doing. I've always tried to get better at. So during this time of being very bored and not having much to do and just trying to keep sane, baking is something that I can put a lot of time into, trying to improve and trying to yield results, and cooking as well. And that's just something that is practical, it's fun, it's entertaining, and that someone needs to do it because we all need to eat. So it's a good thing to spend time doing.
Okay. So what's your favorite meal to cook, regardless of quarantine, not quarantine, anything?
So my favorite dish to cook, I think, is risotto because it's something I've done so often and so frequently, and it's so easy and it always turns out impressive. I once did it blindfolded just to prove that I could, and it still comes out very well. And then I think another thing that I really like to do is I love baking sourdough bread. because that is just something I've put so much time and effort into improving my method, improving my strategy, cultivating my own sourdough starter, and there's just so many different variables that I just find that entire process really fun.
Okay. So, with that being said, what's your favorite meal to eat?
Um, my favorite meal to eat. I'm a big fan of beef Wellington,
Okay.
um, and kebabs, like Persian kebab, just because that's one of the things I've tried to master, and it just always comes out worse than the stuff I can get from the restaurant. So that I think is one of my favorite things, something that I can't make myself as well as I can in a restaurant, which is an increasingly small list.
That's good to hear.
hmm
How did you get into cooking in the first place?
So I've been cooking for pretty much all of my life. According to my mom, I was young when this happened, so I don't even remember. According to my mom, my brother and I didn't like her cooking, and we used to complain about it a lot. And she said, "Oh, if you don't like it, you can get in the kitchen and make food for yourself." So then I did, and I haven't really stopped since. And, I grew up watching Food Network, Alton Brown, Cooking Channel, all that sort of stuff, and that really inspired me and taught me how to cook for myself.
Okay. So, in relation to the quarantine, why do you think certain ingredients, like when I go to the store, I see that ingredients like beef, like ground beef, and certain chicken items are very hard to find right now. Do you know why that is?
So I think a lot of people are panic buying protein. It's something that there isn't a huge supply of at the grocery store. They don't have a ton in the back just because that goes bad quickly. So when people go and buy up everything, that's one of the first things to go. People want to have their fridge stocked with protein. And for ground beef, especially, that's the type of thing that you can make into a dish and then freeze really easily. So ground beef, I've been completely unable to get during this quarantine.
Mm. Um, by the way, like there's in Weston, there's like this market.
Mhm,
I forget, like this isn't an interview question. I was just giving you some. There's this market. I forget. It's like a Spanish market.
mhm.
I can get the name from my mom and text it to you. But they have ground beef, like a lot of it. So
Supposedly, like I've been trying to go to the grocery store like once every 2 weeks, and supposedly they've been having it recently. So maybe next time I'll be able to get it. But I don't love ground beef anyway. It's not like my favorite protein, so I'm not super broken up about it. It's just a thing that's easy to freeze.
okay. So speaking of the quarantine, just for a couple minutes, describe your time trying to gather like cooking materials because as you say there's a lot of things that people are panic buying.
Mhm.
So would you say that your time has been more difficult than it was otherwise?
When I go to the grocery store, I go through every aisle trying to find stuff that's still available. There's a lot of things like pasta, flour, a lot of proteins, and eggs that are just completely gone. So I'm trying to, in my head, create a recipe for something I can do with the stuff that I have at home and with the stuff that's still available at the grocery store. There's still a lot of fresh produce. There's a lot of rice and beans, which are staple ingredients. And there's a lot of also lesser known things like there's no shortage of spices. If you go into the Asian section, there's all these different sauces and uh, and ingredients and vinegars and stuff like that. And when you go into the like the dry food section, there's a lot of stuff like that. So it's just trying to find the ingredients that will last a while and the ingredients are versatile, trying to gather those up and trying to find substitutes for the things that you don't have. Like you don't have access to the fresh protein all the time. You don't have So trying to find substitutes for that or craft recipes that don't include that, that's generally my experience at the grocery store.
I think you're breaking up a little bit. um I wonder why that is. Maybe my Wi-Fi or something. I don't know, like your screen isn't working and there's no sound coming out, so I'm assuming that you're trying to say things and you're just not. Oh,
Okay.
okay,
Yeah, you're
we're
back
back.
now. Okay.
All right. So we're almost done anyway. There's just a couple of more things.
Mhm.
What's an easy dish that you would recommend that people can make just during this time?
Hmm.
The people that aren't necessarily cooking experts.
Okay. So I think that the most staple dish during this time is what I call pantry pasta. It's just
Okay.
you get a box of pasta, boil it up, mix it with whatever sort of fresh produce, veggies, meats you have, saute it all together, add some tomato or some balsamic vinegar or some chicken stock or something like that. Try to make a sauce. That's a very simple, basic dish that you can make with whatever you have on hand and just adapt the flavors to whatever you like.
Okay. Cool. So last question. I'm a reporter for NSM Today, which is an on-campus publication in the Nicholson School. You're a part of the Nicholson School, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just, yeah, just wondering. Would you be willing to provide a recipe to go in my article?
Sure. What kind of recipe do you want?
Oh, just something that you would think people would be able to make during the quarantine.
Yeah, I'll give you a recipe for my basic risotto, which is good because it's entirely shelf stable. Except for like there are a couple things that you might want to add in, but a basic risotto, it's just rice, onion, some sort of fat like oil or butter, and then stock or white wine or something like that. All shelf stable, mostly readily available. So yeah, I'd be happy to provide that as a recipe.
All right, awesome. So I guess you can text that to me,
Mhm.
and I'll put it in the article. But thank you so much for your time, Ben. I really appreciate it. And yeah, it has been a while. And maybe if we ever get back to UCF, we should
Mhm.
hang out.
All right, yeah, definitely happy to help.
All right.
And
Uh,
I'm about to go film myself cooking a lot of stuff and then send it to you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. If you want to send it, how could you send it to me? That's what I'm wondering.
That's a good question.
Yeah, because I know the emails, like the files, are usually too big.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to upload them to YouTube and send me like a little independent link.
I could do that.
Okay, that sounds good. And I'll download them from YouTube.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you so much, and I'll talk
No
to you
problem.
soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye bye. How do I end this? Oh, here we go.